everyone. Welcome to today's board meeting. Date is April 18th, 2017. The time is 5:30. Please silence your cell phones. Thank you. Our agenda is as follows. To begin the first part of it, we're going to lead Tim Weishire, our school board member from District 3, will lead our invocation. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be recited by Randy Shatera. He is our Assistant Superintendent for School Operations. Our national anthem will be performed by Brooke Gurno, a student from St. Cloud High School. Mission statement will be read by Principal Alan Ramos from Discovery Intermediate. Our translation services are going to be provided by our Multicultural Department, and Belinda Reyes is representing. They will have comments from the board, agendas, and all that other fun stuff that follows. Please, let's all stand up for Mr. Tim Weishire.
As you're standing, I'm going to just stay seated for a moment just so I can use my microphone and people can hear me before I lead us in our invocation. So please bear with me with some indulgence here. A couple weeks ago, many of you may have heard we lost two leaders in our community. Mr. John Pate, a former county commissioner, passed away. John was a public servant, a great man, and a great leader in our community, so certainly a loss for us. And then we also tragically lost Commissioner, House member, and former mayor Frank Atkinson, Frank Atkinson, who is a dear friend and really a great partner for this school district. And so as we pray tonight, I'll certainly pray for their families, but I'd ask that you just be mindful of not only the losses that our community suffered, but those families suffered. And I encourage you to really be mindful. Oftentimes in life we get distracted by all the things that we have to deal with and work through and the challenges that we face. But really, let's remain mindful of what's really most important to us, our faith and our family and the service that we provide to others, that we might leave a lasting legacy behind ourselves that didn't just benefit ourselves but benefited other people. So I'll lead us in our prayer. God, we come before you tonight. We are grateful that you provide this opportunity for us to gather together as servants, as friends, as neighbors, as community members, to make decisions that will ultimately make a difference in the lives of so many students. We ask for your wisdom for this board tonight. We ask for discernment as we weigh the matters that come before us. We thank you for the privilege of serving in this position, and we thank you for the people that are not only gathered here today, but those that work every single day across our district to make a difference in the lives of young people. We pray, of course, for the families that were mentioned and others that maybe weren't. We know that the loss of a loved one is something that is troubling to each one of us, and for some it strikes fear, and for others it brings hope of what tomorrow brings ahead for eternity. We just pray now that you will continue to comfort the families that were mentioned, that you allow them to know that this community remains grateful for their time, their service, and their leadership. And we pray that everything that we say, everything we do, everything we share with one another tonight will ultimately bring honor and glory to you. We ask your blessing upon the precious lives that are entrusted to our care each day. Might you protect our students, give them a willingness to learn and a fervor for life, and give them the direction they need that they might ultimately grow to be productive citizens in our community. We pray all this as we gather, and I pray it in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
Good evening. Our mission statement is inspiring all leaders to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Good afternoon. My name is Belinda Hayden, and I'm Executive Director for the Multicultural Education Department. If you or someone you know need translation services, please let me know. Buenas tardes, me llamo Belinda Hayden. Soy la directora ejecutiva del Departamento Educacional de Multicultura. Por favor, déjenme saber si necesitan servicios para
Thanks to everyone who helped us get this meeting going. Excellent performance by Miss Brooke Gurno, again, a student from St. Cloud High School. Beautiful rendition, really kept that note in the middle there going. I can't figure out how people do it. I know I can't.
We can't, just because we can't. We have very talented students.
I'm at a disadvantage here. But this next part of the agenda is where we ask the board members to make whatever comments they like. We like it to keep them positive. How about it?
I will be brief. First off, I want to recognize some leaders in this district, specifically Dr. Laura Reinhardt, Mr. Michael Allen, Dr. Jane Respis, who called me together to share with me that we're adopting some new curriculum and some new materials. And I will say publicly what I said on the phone. I've got great confidence in all of you. I'm not going to question that. However, as I said before, I want you to get $1.50 worth of books for $1. So I appreciate the call, and I appreciate that you saw if I had any questions. And just keep up the good work. I think we've got superstars in leadership in this district, and there's a great example of a great team. This didn't happen at the district, but it really affects us. And I'm going to, and it's ironic and coincidental that you're all new board members to me, just so you all know. But one of our new board members,
You're old to us, by the way.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Weiser, on behalf of you, usually I will use small words and speak slow.
Thank you.
But it's ironic that, for those of you who don't know, Clarence Thacker is right now helping in a consultative role with the new sensor plant. I think it's called Neo City right now. It's kind of tough to keep track of the names. But they just recently had a grand opening. And the point I want to make is, Clarence has been a great advocate for this, but for years, everybody has talked about we need better paying jobs, we need more technical jobs, better jobs for the community, for our kids graduating, reason for our kids to come back. This new sensor plant is, I imagine, the tip of the iceberg, and it is the first in what will be a series of projects and facilities out within that same complex that will offer just what we're talking about. So our kids who are graduating from our schools will go on to higher education and can come back to our community and have a family and have a life and get good paying jobs. It was very exciting, and I'm glad that Dr. Pace was out there for it, and I'm thrilled that Mr. Thacker's part of it. And again, this is going to be a great thing, and it's in partnership with the University of Central Florida, so it was very exciting, and it's a great, while it is not necessarily a school district project, the school district will benefit greatly from it, so I'm thrilled that it's there, and it's a great thing for our community. So, Dr. Pace, I know you're looking at it already. Find more ways for us to integrate ourselves with them, either through leadership or students, however we can do it. It's going to be a great project and good for everybody. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Booth?
I'm going to be very brief. Harmony FFA, Harmony High School FFA, I think this was last week, they won the state meat judging competition. So,
Meat judging.
yeah, see, we're really good at meat judging.
It's not a track meet or something.
And I don't know.
Can we
but
fit that somewhere into our web?
and they will be going to the national competition in Kansas, either Kansas City or Louisville. I think it might be
The
Louisville
meat
this
was
time.
beef, right?
No. Beef, lamb, pork,
Okay,
all that stuff.
okay.
They won the competition. I'm very proud of them. So congratulations to those kids, and good luck in the national competition.
That's awesome.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I got.
All right, so you had it?
Just a couple of things, Chairman Soto. I did want to commend so many of the district staff who were a part of our Ram Rodeo field trip for our sixth grade students. I know it seems like it was forever ago, but it really wasn't. We had about 4,000 of our young people who were transported by bus, fed by our cafeteria services, supervised by their teachers and admin team, and tons of district personnel who really went into making this possible. And the kids were so, so, so excited. The PRCA folks were excited. Our local government folks were very excited, and they were already planning on how we can do that again next year. Also, we're at that time of the year where we're getting to really enjoy some of the wonderful talents that we hear all the time, but in their spring celebrations, our all-county concert band performance for middle and high school was just a week ago. And last week, I had the honor of being a part of the American Muslim Leadership Council's Bridge the Gap Roundtable, along with Dr. Jara from Orange County Public Schools, an opportunity to really kind of talk about ways that we can all work together to increase mutual respect, tolerance within our community. So it was a great success, and I appreciate that opportunity.
Thank you,
And Mr. Chairman, it took 6 Clydesdales to pull me around the arena. Just want everybody to know.
It's this event, it's named RAM because Ram trucks is the, I really like the voices for those commercials. Have you guys ever noticed that they have this Ram truck? Tough. I can't. I wish I could speak like that. I don't. My political career.
Have you ever heard Ricky announce a rodeo? That's a treat, too.
He's got a good rodeo
He does,
voice.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tim.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I did promise Board Member Booth that I was going to go ahead and make the comment about that today it is the anniversary of Albert Einstein's death. But any day that you can remember Einstein it's always a good day. I mean, I don't go a week without reading some article about him or something that he had an impact on, and he revolutionized the way we see the universe. It was totally different prior to his theories of relativity. As I would explain to Mr. Booth, it wasn't just a gradual change. It was a whole new way of looking at things. And what that signifies to me is just an elevation of the human spirit. That we got that much closer to understanding, the universe and everything around us. So that was going to be my comment. I was going to read something from an article, but I'm going to skip on that. I think that with what I said, I hope if I could encourage anyone to read the stuff that it never gets old. Actually, it's just more wonderful the more you learn about it. So at this point, we're going to do an adjournment of this public hearing, and we're going to have Dr. Reinhardt present us with the social studies material adoption. Right? Yeah.
We convene the public hearing, adjourn the regular meeting,
Okay.
recess the meeting.
So we recess.
Okay.
So we'll begin this one.
Thank you. I'm here. I would just like to thank the board members, Dr. Pace, and I'd like to remind everyone and the board of the timeline that we have been using for reviewing and analyzing our instructional materials for our K-12 social studies adoption. The process began back in July with teams reviewing the list of approved materials from the Florida DOE. Throughout the fall, a district adoption team was created with input from the OCEA, teachers, administrators, parents, and SAC members. A district adoption committee was formed, and presentations as well as a thorough review of all the materials was completed by January. The community has had an opportunity to review these materials since March 10th, both online and they can come in person to our IMC. This hearing is a second opportunity for the board to hear any public comment on the selected materials for adoption.
All right. So at this point, we ask for anybody, even if you haven't filled it out, this is an opportunity for you to make a comment on this topic. No? Board, does anyone want to be heard in any comments so far? None? All right. Well, hearing that there's no public comments, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this part of the meeting and reconvene our public meeting. All right. So the next on our agenda is going to be a presentation of the 2017 Ida S. Baker Champion Scholarship recipient. Please. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Denise Assalta, and I am the chairman of the Affirmative Action Committee. And it's my pleasure to congratulate Ms. Karen Jilks on receiving the Ida S. Baker Champion Scholarship Award. The recipient will be given a $2,000 scholarship award towards continuing her education at the master's level in their field. This award is given to someone who directly impacts multicultural education for students and/or families in transition at their school or in the classroom. Ms. Karen Jilks has 2 bachelor's degrees, one in psychology and another in women's studies. Ms. Jilks also has 2 master's degrees, one in curriculum and instruction and one in career and technical education. She is currently working on a master's degree in educational leadership and management from the University of St. Thomas. She currently teaches at Discovery Intermediate in grades 7th and 8th. Her personal goal is to help the student population as well as assisting her fellow teachers to meet their educational needs and goals by studying to become an effective leader. She chose education as her career because she wants to have an impact on the lives of others. Being an educator is the best platform to help all children and adults receive the skills they need to achieve academic success. Ms. Jilks has been a part of the SAC committee for 10 years and highly encourages her students to attend the monthly meetings. She explains to them the importance of attending and what a great opportunity they have to find out the details of the school's offerings and future projection of the student body. She also helps with the Multicultural Community League, which supports the youth from 4 years through 18 years old. The multicultural community is called CFAA Mustang Incorporated. The students come from all walks of life and receive guidance in sportsmanship as well as tutoring for the at-risk students. Ms. Jilks was also a mentor in the Essence Club, which was a girls' mentoring program at the school. The mentors of this club help girls by building a relationship that fosters good self-esteem. As chairman of the Affirmative Action Committee, I present Ms. Karen Jilks as the winner of the Ida S. Baker Champion Scholarship Award. I would like to ask Ms. Jilks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Come down.
I'm gonna, Mr. Chairman's coming down.
Mr. Ramos is also here, your principal. Shall we ask him?
Oh, yeah, that guy. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
There's something going on at the end of the table. You guys both have colds. I mean,
Not good. Stay clear.
I'm doing it.
Just know we both want the meeting over as quick as possible.
Yeah, Jay.
Okay. Appointments and transfers.
There are none.
None for the superintendent? All right. Open for public comment, if we have any. I'm not supposed to say that, right? Just a joke. We do have. Let me start with Ms. Dee Stevens. Good evening, Dee.
What is this?
Oh, that's in case you want to use the audiovisual.
Clicker for the,
Oh, I just
But
put it.
just quickly, this name and address, just so we can make it official.
Dee Stevens, former school board member, 218 East Cedarwood Circle, Kissimmee, Florida. I was here, I just want to stand corrected. There was a book that I came down here with, and the name of the book is, from 1996 to 97, it's called The What's Happening to My Body book for girls, and the boy book, What's Happening to My Body book for boys. The book basically was about puberty and growing up, the birds and the bees and flowers and the trees. And what happened was the book was challenged. And chapter 9, I reviewed the book. You don't have the book anymore. I understand you don't even allow the book in the district. I don't know what. And this is the book. I took it out of the public library if somebody wants it. And it's in the bookstores. And I'm looking through all the papers, and the book was by Linda Medeiros. I'm not against the book per se, but at the time, this is 20 years ago, I voted with the parents because, in the majority, because I'll stand by my position because children basically are innocent and of an impressionable age, and parental discretion is always considered. So the book wasn't banned. It was put on a separate shelf for parental consent at the Den John Middle School at the time. And from looking at all the papers, there was some kind of a disagreement there. I believe Kat Gordon was the librarian, and her assistant to the librarian at the school, her name was Mrs. Yeager. So she was against the book, and I guess Mrs. Gordon must have been for the book. I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but I'm just from getting all these papers. But what bothered me is, like I'm standing here today before you, somebody has a comment, an opinion for or against, you come in front of the board and express yourself. Now, Mr. Boyd, who's an employee here in government relations, at the time in 97, this book was under question from 96 and in 97. He didn't come down. He was against the challenge and speak up. That says he was against that and he was for the book. So the next morning he came down. His code of conduct was improper and bullied, intimidated me, and that was wrong. I just happened to give the resume to Mrs. Pace. I don't want to make any comments or tell you what to do. Please review the resume of John Boyd and to see if that position is correct. And I'm not against the book per se, but I voted like you. You sit up there, you're there to protect children, and that's your first and foremost prerogative, right?
Thank you, Ms. D.
Yes, okay. All right, the next person's coming up here.
All right, thank you, Ms. D.
Just a minute.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a comment.
Hold on, just a moment, Jay.
You have any questions?
I've-
I read the book. It's not a bad book. It was written by a health, I guess, teacher. You know, it explains growing up and things like that. But chapter 9 had some material in there that was.
Ms. D, I will invite you to contact the district, and that way you can get up a little bit of what's more current. I'm pretty sure that book is still on the shelves, but we have
I don't
even
know.
more material since 1996.
They told me it's no more, but it's available in the public library, just the girl book. They don't have the boy book, and it's in the bookstores. It's still in.
The other comment I was gonna just make briefly is that I've gotten to know Mr. Boyd over the past 5
I'm not
years.
against Mr.
No,
Boyd.
I know you weren't.
I've never
critical.
said anything
Wait.
against his job in all the years he's here, even though he's done things, and, but I'm just saying, look over the resume and judge it for
Well, I
yourself.
mean, unless I want to be more
That's all.
impressed than what I am,
can't tell you
think I'll
what to
skip
do.
on that.
Right, all right,
Now, we have here Helen
This is Helen.
Sabosny, right?
Yeah.
Ms. Sabosny?
yeah.
Okay.
You
Go ahead and-
want to speak about
Same address, I know that.
yeah.
You could begin.
Wheeler, about that he's related to the Morris family.
Yes.
He's
This is
related
the
to
comment about Mr.
The
Wheeler.
Morris family.
Oh,
Mr. Wheeler.
I want to, I do everyone. I want to speak about
Jay Wheeler
Jay Wheeler. He's related to the Morris family.
of Rochester, is that true?
Rochester.
Are you related to the Morris family?
Negative.
No? You're not? No? All right, then,
That's all. We just want to know.
okay.
It's close.
All right. Thank
We
you.
have family nearby, so we're just checking.
All right, that's what someone, all right.
Okay.
It's not true? Okay.
Ladies, thank you very much.
Okay.
You have a good evening, and you're
Okay.
welcome to stay for the rest.
No,
You like.
all right,
Mr.
thank
Chairman.
you.
All right. Yes.
Let Jay go first.
Okay, Jay, Mr. Wheeler.
I'd like to just say that I've worked with John Boyd since 2002, and while we may not have always seen eye to eye on things, he is a consummate professional. He's qualified, does a sensational job, and I'm not going to sit idly by while somebody wants to say negative things about somebody who is doing an exceptional job and puts kids first. And he's disagreed with me as a board member, and that's been okay. When everybody's thinking the same way, then someone's not thinking. So, John, I appreciate everything you do for this district, and I will defend anybody in this district under any circumstances, so when somebody comes forward. So I appreciate what you do, John, and Board, I would encourage you to also stand up for our employees, which I know you do. I know you did, Mr. Chairman, so thank you.
Mr. Booth?
Yeah, I wanted to say, make some similar comments just because I've gotten to know Mr. Boyd pretty well over the past, 2.5, 3 years, and I have appreciated his professionalism. I have not checked out his resume, but I find him, again, to be very professional, and I know one thing that he is absolutely not, and that's a bully. And I do want to thank him for his services and thank him for everything he does for the school district.
And the one thing I'll say, I don't disagree with Mr. Boyd or Dr. Pace about necessarily, is I'm not going to root for Auburn.
Well, just one thing. Basically, ladies, we're not saying that you said anything wrong. I think that what happened is that let me finish. I think that what happened is that people here got an opportunity to express how much they like Boyd, so they're going to do it. That's all. It's nothing on you, okay? Dr. Pace?
No,
Oh,
I have a
you?
comment.
Oh, you were next?
Yeah.
I'm not at the microphone now.
I know, but you got to give others a chance, Ms. D. Tim.
Yeah, the board has expressed my feeling, but John, I couldn't not comment as well. But I want you guys to know the reason I like John, unlike Jay, is because John never disagrees with me. Is that true, John? That's not true at all.
I'd be like,
John does disagree, but he disagrees agreeably, and he is a professional and a valued friend in the work that we do for this community and for these students. And so everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I think everyone in this room knows that I'm very open to people being able to express their viewpoints. It's the benefit we have with living in this great republic. But I also would be remiss if I didn't take the moment to say, John, that I do appreciate you, and regardless of other opinions, I value the work that you're doing. I think our district is blessed and fortunate to have you.
Dr. Pace?
And again, we do certainly respect Ms. Stevens and also your mother and appreciate the information that you've shared with me in advance. I will say that I have reviewed the resume and the job description as you asked me to do and stand behind John's position in the district and believe he does it well. Thank you very much.
There's a legal problem here, what happened to me, and I don't want to say anything.
Mr. Tack?
John, same thing. Thank you for all you do for the district. Everybody else has said it very well, so I couldn't say it better myself. Thank you.
All right, so that, see no other yellow sheet for public comment. We'll close that part and continue on with the agenda. Board, at this time, does anyone have an agenda modification? I'll start with Mr. Wheeler.
No, I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Booth.
I'm good.
I don't have any. Mr. Thacker.
Good.
Mr. Weishire.
I'll add one, just mobile STEM lab.
Okay, and we'll put that in
The board comment.
comments and committee report. Okay. Deanne? Correct?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Second.
All right, motion to approve the agenda as modified by Mr. Booth, second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any comments? None? Therefore, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, if you would, just as you guys are leaving, again, just want to say congratulations to you. Very proud of the work you're doing, and I'm personally grateful for the work you're doing at Discovery.
Congratulations.
So thank you very much, and have a
Well
blessed
done.
evening.
All right. Having approved the consent agenda, we are now in the information agenda items. And I believe that Tom Phelps and Miss Elizabeth Lane will update us with the district procedures regarding truancy. Very important topic, guys. Let's pay attention.
Yes, good evening, school board and superintendent. I appreciate the opportunity for Elizabeth and I to present to you this evening. A couple of board meetings ago, we had a public comment from a teacher in reference to attendance. We had a brief discussion about truancy and attendance, and we offered to bring back some additional information. The expert on truancy is Elizabeth Lane and her team in social services, and she's going to present some more information and give you some more details about the information that we have as far as truancy, and also all of the really, what I believe to be some pretty robust interventions that we have within the district to address attendance, and I think you're going to be pleased with some of the results that you're going to hear tonight. And I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Lane. Want me to be the clicker?
You can be the clicker.
I'll be the clicker.
Yes,
I'm the
thank you.
designated clicker.
You offered to help.
Stevens would have done it.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Pace, and the leadership team. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you the district efforts to build a legacy by ensuring student attendance. All right. There are three main Florida statutes that we look at with regards to truancy. The first gives the responsibility of promoting and enforcing school attendance to the school district. The second provides the years of compulsory attendance has 6 to 16, and the third provides the definition of truancy has 5 days in an absence in a 30-day period or 10 days absence in a 90-day period. It also states that the absences must be unexcused. Promoting student attendance in Osceola County begins at school level. In the event of absences, a call goes out to the numbers listed in focus. If a student accumulates 5 days unexcused absences, a letter is sent home notifying the parent of the absence and addressing the importance of school attendance. If truancy continues, the attendance person at the school will provide a referral for the teacher to complete, and a school meeting will be held with the parent to discuss the concerns. If the student continues to accumulate unexcused absences, the school then can make a referral to the district student services department. The district personnel who receive the referral provide an audit of the information and contact the school and parent to schedule an early truancy intervention team or ETIT meeting. If during the meeting it appears a parent may be in need of extra services or assistance, for example, they've moved to a hotel, transportation is a problem, or the student states that they don't want to go to school because of a particular reason, then the ETIT team will make a referral to the appropriate personnel, a social worker, the FIT office, a professional school counselor. The district personnel continue to monitor the student, and if the absences continue, then the superintendent can file a truancy petition with the court. State statutes also mandate school enrollment and attendance as a requirement for driving privileges. Students who are considered truant or who leave school with a dropout code are sent a warning letter by the district. If they accumulate 15 unexcused absences in a 90-day period, they lose their driving privileges. This year to date, we've mailed 555 letters to students and their parents. 322 students improved their attendance, but 133 students lost their driving privileges. In order to reinstate their licenses, the students then have to attend school for 30 days in a row. Our data shows that the school efforts have a great deal of success. 81% of students who receive school interventions improve their attendance. Many times the parents don't understand the process for calling in absences or the need for a doctor's note or the importance of education. The conversation with school personnel helps to clarify the expectations. In the event a referral is made to the school district and a meeting is conducted with a parent, 73% of those students show improvement. And we have a 95% success rate with those that have to go on with truancy petitions. Florida Statute 984.151 allows the superintendent to file a truancy petition. We began this process last spring, and the cases appear before Judge Patricia Strobridge, who is the dependency judge for Osceola County. One of the remarks the judge makes to parents consistently who appear before her is that the district is required by law to file a petition if the parent does not ensure their child's attendance at school. As of this Friday, the district will have a total of 40 petitions on file, with another 10 to be filed in the next few weeks. Judge Strobridge addresses the case and monitors the student through several months in order to ensure consistent school attendance. 95% have shown improvement of the students this is a great intervention. And we use this intervention with students of compulsory age. We are constantly seeking new funding streams to assist in the areas of student services. In January 2017, we submitted a competitive grant which offers $3 million for services with high-risk families. If we are awarded this grant, we'll be able to link many of these services to student attendance.
That 3 million, is that over how many years?
4.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay, board, comments, discussion? Oh, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Clarence.
I just said that, I lost my train of thought.
The medicine. The
Mine.
medicine's getting you.
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
All right.
Yes.
All right, move.
You know, it was a couple years ago, I think, when the first year I was on the board, there was an article that came out in the newspaper about a young girl, I think, that was living in a I don't know if it was a hotel or if it was an apartment or something. And the story wasn't even about truancy, it was about something else, I think maybe child neglect. But what struck me of the article was that the girl had not been for school for 50 days. And I asked then Superintendent Luciano about what we had done, and I never got an answer. So what, you know, I want to make sure that if we have a child that hasn't been to school for 50 days, and it looks like we're doing things, I just want to make sure we are doing things. I don't want to see an article in the paper again that a kid hasn't been to school for 30, 40, or 50 days and then be told that we haven't done anything. I just want to make that point, and it's more of a comment than a question.
And my
So.
question was right along with that. Do you have the staff to do what you need to do?
Well, the efforts really begin at the school, and I've been very encouraged by the fact that we're going to add some guidance counselors to the schools, because the schools carry the bulk of the effort. Then they let us know, and we follow through with the ETIT meetings and the court. But really, the schools carry the bulk of the attendance issues.
And we're also hopeful to hear positive news in reference to the grant, which would allow us some additional resources.
All right. And I believe it's Mr. Wheeler.
I want to get back to the grant for a second. I think we notified in October, and it's $3 million over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the question I have is, what other rules are there if we're awarded the money? There's a million strings attached. So give me like the top 2 or 3. I don't need the whole laundry list.
It basically is a high needs area. Our data supports that. It's a grant from SAMHSA. It's a federal grant. It centers around mental health, which a lot of our attendance issues, that's part of our concerns. And we feel like we're competitive because of 2 reasons. One is we had an $8 million grant back in 2007 from the same funding source. And so we were able to use some of the data and the changes that we made to promote that. And then the second thing is that we've centered it around a grant that we were currently awarded, and we're focusing on those areas.
Okay, so if we get awarded it, is it an equal $750,000 a year for 4 years, or is it backloaded, front-loaded? I mean, how does?
It's $1,750,750.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
So the question I've got is, can that money be used? I imagine it's used for salaries, correct? For people, or is it used for?
It's used for services. There's salaries connected to it, but it's mainly providing services.
In-house or outsourced?
About half and half.
Okay, so now the question is, we got an $8 million grant in '07. We're applying for a $3 million grant in '17, might go 4 years. A, what happens if we don't get the grant? And B, what happens if we get the grant, then there's no grant source after 4 years? And I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture, but, you know, if the white knight doesn't come in, then where are we?
Let's go back, I guess, in time whenever we had the Safe Schools, Healthy Students grant, which Ms. Lane referenced. Many of those services were outsourced types of services,
Okay.
and those were partnerships that we created over time. Many of those partnerships still exist, and I'm pleased to say that we've sustained those partnerships, and we've sought out other revenue sources to help to pay for those.
Good.
So this setup is very similar. It'll hopefully continue to establish new relationships, and we will seek out funding sources, you know, as our sources, I guess, you know.
So I guess the backup question.
And many of that might be from insurances that families have.
So the alternate funding source is private insurance?
It's actually Medicaid.
Okay, Okay. So if we get this, these families won't necessarily have to use their Medicaid. We're going to be providing the services out of these funds, correct?
What happens is these services, this funding provides services for students who don't have Medicaid or when Medicaid's gone. Medicaid's very specific about what it pays for. Some of these families need additional sources. So this money pays for services that may not be considered a mental health appointment. It may be you need somebody to come in and help you get your house clean or establish how to make doctor's appointments or
Okay.
something like that. So
Okay.
that's what the funding is for.
Okay, I understand. Okay,
I also
thank you.
want to say that the
Yeah.
funder is SAMHSA, which is with the federal government. And the way this grant is written is if it's successful in this area, then we can apply for it to use in a different area of the
So,
school district.
I don't know AMSA, but is that part of the Department of Education, Department of Justice?
It's mental health. It's health
Health
services.
and Human Services, okay,
Human
okay, that's what I was going for, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Weissier.
First, I want to say thank you for preparing this and presenting this. This board genuinely values information and responsiveness. And so anytime a board member, whether it's myself or a peer, makes a request for more information, and Superintendent, you're purposeful in making sure you bring it forth, I want you to know it's always appreciated. I know I speak on behalf of the entire board when I say that. The second thing I want to say is thank you for the work, because I know that this is not one of the fun things that we get to do or have to do as a school district, and I want you to know that I value the work that you're doing in that regard.
Thank you.
My questions, one of them Mr. Wheeler anticipated, which is the funding source and what happens if those dollars aren't there, so that's been addressed. I would like to know, though, how do we compare to other districts when it comes to truancy by way of percentage, and what it is that we have to deal with compared to others? Do we have a large problem compared to others? Do we have a small problem? Are we on par? What's the general viewpoint of how we're comparing to our surrounding districts? And there's going to be a follow-up after that.
Okay. As far as following the truancy petitions, most of the counties around here do that. I have not, to be honest with you, looked at the numbers, but I think we're pretty consistent. The problems that we encounter, a lot of them are due to homelessness. A lot of them are due to families coming in and not really understanding the importance of education, that it's an everyday thing, that it's a cumulative thing. And so educating those parents is always our first goal, helping them to understand, and then coming in behind them and helping them shore up the reasons the students are not there. There's a lot of parents that leave home early and go to work, and then middle schoolers are supposed to, answer the alarm and get dressed and get on the bus and go to school. And sometimes that happens and sometimes that doesn't. So I will say that the efforts of Judge Strobridge have helped a great deal. First of all, she's very good with the parents and listens to them, but also totally supports the school district in the importance of education. And being able to share with parents that that's our last intervention and we really don't want to use that intervention has kind of helped some of the conversation also.
How much do you feel the work that you guys are doing is proactive as opposed to reactive? Is there things that we can be doing differently to head some of these things off? Do you feel like everything that you're doing is everything that could and should be done to make sure that we're connecting with the family and the student as quick and as early as possible? Is there area and room for us to improve upon that if resources weren't an issue?
I believe there's always room to improve. So that, I will say that the schools do a lot of the proactive. Student services comes in and helps when the proactive really hasn't helped. The prevention is done by the student services personnel, the nurses, the social workers, the school psychologists who are there, who kind of figure out sometimes what the problem is ahead of time and help the parent find a successful solution. I don't always hear about those. That's what our staff does, and they do it every day. But I would say that there's always room for improvement. There's lots of programs. We're looking right now at one Pinellas is doing. They just published an article talking about their attendance stuff that they did this year with Attendance Matters. And so we're looking at that to see if there's some more things that we can bring in.
How much information is available to the public on how to deal with someone that they believe is truant? I know growing up here, if I missed school, there would have been 10 moms on the phone with my mom and the school saying, hey, Tim Boy is not at school today. You know, of course I never skipped school. That's a different story, right, Ricky?
Correct.
But how much information is out there in the community, do you feel, and is there an opportunity for us to expand how we deal with that and making sure that if somebody sees a student that they know otherwise should be on one of our campuses, but isn't, do we get a lot of calls on that type of stuff? How does that process typically work? Does it go through the PD and the SO first, or?
Yeah, we don't typically get very many calls about students that are truant. I mean, we will get phone calls where a community member will report that there's somebody in their community. It appears there's a group of students who are young people congregating at this home during the day, but that doesn't happen, very often. And we will follow up. If I can get an address, I'll look to see, does that address match any students in our school district? And if so, then we'll contact the appropriate agency and have them go out and do a little visit and see if we do have students. But we don't get a whole lot of calls, with reports that's going on in the community.
Okay, thank you. Last comment I'll make is just one that I've made a number of times. When we talk about a federal grant, it's great that it provides a need for us, but at the same time, a federal grant is still taxpayer dollars. And I think that's important for people to always realize is sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, it's not school district money, it's state money. If it's not state money, it's federal money. At the end of the day, it's all of our money. We're taxpayers, and no government, including the one we're sitting a part of right now, has any money unless it's for the hard work and the sacrifice of a taxpayer. So when we think about a $3 million grant or a prior $7 million grant, that means the taxpayers have fronted quite a bit of money to deal with these issues, which I say really just from a philosophical standpoint of how I feel about these things, but I think it's always important we keep those things in mind as we think about how we lead and govern and guide this district, is we don't want to always think, well, it's just money from somewhere else. It had to come out of some hardworking American's pocket to get there. Thank you. And that wasn't directed at you guys.
And Mr. Booth?
I'll be brief. I wanted to clarify one of my last comments. I did get an answer. It wasn't a satisfactory one. But my second comment was I made a brief statement last time when we were discussing this with the teacher from St. Cloud Middle School about before we get to petitioning the judge is maybe having some sort of protocol with and I know you've talked about talking with Sheriff Gibson about how maybe just sending a sheriff deputy out there or one of the policemen and just tapping on that door, something that we might have could have done at the school district 50 years ago or 30 years ago, like Tim was saying, because it was a smaller community, a more close-knit community. But maybe now, we would not want to send our teachers, our staff who are not law enforcement officers to some of these doors. So is that a possibility, or?
Certainly. I was just, if you don't mind, Chairman Soto, going to take a little liberty of a couple things. If you remember board last summer, shortly after I came on board, we were in a position to add 2 social worker positions specifically to address these issues. That has helped to a degree, although there is still a tremendous number of students to be served. Number 2, Mrs. Luciano, within her strategic plan, had as a goal improving attendance, and we continue to monitor that, even though it's not one of our specific goals or strategies in our current strategic plan. We continue to look monthly at the attendance rate by school and by district, always aiming to be at 95% or above. However, it's that 5% of the students who can potentially become habitually truant if we're not on top of that. So we're continuing to monitor and put some proactive strategies in place. I've not yet had that discussion, Mr. Booth, specifically with Sheriff Gibson, but certainly once we get a new director of security on board, there have been quite a number of things that he's had going on as he's transitioned into his role as a new elected official, but certainly something that we can do. And I will also share with you that we have, through OCEA, provided some training to some staffs about doing home visits, always in pairs, never alone, but in actually trying to engage within the home, within the family, to help folks with these kinds of issues. In addition, one of the things that we haven't yet talked about, but as that my staff and I have been planning for the 17-18 school year in order to bring you some budget recommendations, we're looking to potentially, as Ms. Lane referenced, add some guidance counselors at the middle school level and then a second year to try to add back at the elementary level. So following again the direction of the board last summer, when we really didn't have that much room in the budget at that time and the plan to make things happen, we're looking at our allocations to try to see if we can beef some of these things up. We know that currently some of our middle schools have counselor to student ratios of like 1,000 or more. That's not effective. So we're looking at trying to reduce that and have at least 2 guidance counselors at every middle school for the 17-18 school year to try to, again, to assist with some of these efforts, as well as the whole social emotional piece to help students be successful, be healthy at our schools and be successful.
Thank you.
Mr. Booth,
Just,
I'm sorry, to your, I guess to your question or statement in reference to that particular student from a previous year.
Sure.
One of the challenges we would have, especially with a family in transition, is they're just that, they're in transition, and they do move from place to place. And so finding them and getting them the appropriate letters and notifications and that type of thing become a challenge for us.
I understand.
So that would be, it's not an excuse, it's just, I just wanted to be said that it is a challenge when we try to get to the individual parents and encourage them.
And I do want to say, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I appreciate all the work you're doing, and I know you guys are working really hard. And I know that we had a department when we had half as many students with twice as many truants officers. So I do understand that. I want to make that very clear. So,
And our schools are very creative in their attempts to encourage students to come to school and for parents to bring their children to school. We have some schools who they have a morning wake-up call. They actually call parents and remind them that at 7:15 it's time to get up and bring your children to school. So there are lots of things going on within the schools to try and encourage proper attendance. And our attendance rate right now hovers about 94-95%, pretty much monthly. A couple months, especially early on in the school year, we will get to 96%, but for the remainder of the year, it's pretty much at 94-95%. And we do monitor average daily attendance at each individual school. That's one of the ways that Elizabeth and her team determines who might need some additional resource and some assistance based on that average daily attendance. And also, as she prepares for the next school year, we'll be looking to see who needs that additional attention and resource, and we'll adjust as necessary.
thank you. Yeah. Right, well, anything else, board? I was just going to make some closing comments, and basically, as Mr. Whitesire explained, and on behalf of this board, I really enjoyed your presentation. It was, I asked that the slides be emailed because you referenced some law in there that I think it's going to be useful, at least for me. I know that these things do come up even in the work that I do outside the school district. The other comment I wanted to make was I was very pleased to hear, how your approach and how this is being handled, and your procedures. I do have some background in this area, and prior to being an attorney, when I was working in public, well, I have some personal truancy, right? But when I was in public health, this intervention is very, very important for so many other reasons. Usually, the case is actually quite rare that you have the need for law enforcement. What usually happens is, the very difficult situations that families have, with the economy these days and, with mobility and things of that nature, and mental health. And so all of those issues are intertwined, and I believe that the social workers and the approach that the district is taking, and what I heard from Dr. Pace, that is the best practices. And usually, it's just, there's a lot more going on than just a kid that doesn't want to go to school. I'm pretty sure those exist, but
I didn't say
that's,
arrest them, I just said encourage them.
and the last thing I wanted to say is, board, we depend on each other to bring up issues like this, and refresh it. And for that matter, I know that it was Mr. Booth that brought up this topic. I know that we all very much appreciate that he did, and we're all very interested. And we all appreciate also what the school district, what the administrators here did with the presentation and bringing us up to date and understanding this. Thank you, Mr. Booth.
It was actually the gentleman from the OCEA, from St. Cloud Middle School.
Yeah, but
I brought up this part about the sheriff's department and all that.
But anyways, so whenever topics like this come out.
I was almost going to let you give me all the credit, but
No, and it's good, it's good. You know what? I mean, it has to, it doesn't even have to be from one of us, but when it is, I think it's really good to, for me at least, to feel like you guys are always looking out for things to educate me about what's going on as well. Anything else, board? No?
Thank
Madam
you very
Mayor?
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
All right, so, Mr. DeBoard, I believe your turn is up.
Good evening. Just wanted to briefly highlight a couple of things on the two reports that you have in your packet this evening. The first one from the updating on the Employee Health Center on the graph that you get every month. We continue to see our number of medical visits increase month over month. We still do, and I think you've seen this before, but and we've talked about it a little bit, but we still do have a challenge with no-shows. We got 357 no-shows during the month of February. The center staff is working diligently trying to get those numbers down. They're making calls a day ahead of time for people that do have appointments. They're also implementing a call-back system, so if someone does come in and or call in and there's not an appointment currently available, they will put them on a callback list, and their goal is to try to have them in the center to receive treatment within the next 24 to 48 hours. But so we're really encouraging people, if they do have an appointment, that we'd love to have them, or appreciate having them call in and cancel those appointments so we can make room for other folks that are trying to get in.
357 no-shows.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a breakdown of what percentage of those are medical visits versus physical therapy visits?
Well, it follows across that line that's on the graph. The primary care visits was 22, or I'm sorry, yeah. Urgent care was 157. Non-physician visits would be like lab work or x-rays and those kind of things, 29. Nutrition, 74. PT, 10. And workers' comp, we had 2 that didn't show up, but that follows right across those same categories that are listed on the graph there.
And we can't impose any kind of penalty for people who don't show up, can we? Does anybody do that? Let me rephrase it.
Pardon me?
Is anybody that we know of who's got a public agency that has their own clinic, have they instituted any kind of a penalty for those who don't show up?
I actually had a discussion with someone yesterday that they were sharing that they did that.
Where is they?
Well, he's no longer at that school district, but I think it was.
School district? In
yeah.
Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Where they were basically, you got one freebie, so if you
Right.
didn't call in, you got a pass for that one, but if it happened again and you didn't call to cancel the appointment, there was a $25 charge in order to be able to come back to make another appointment in the future. But, we haven't really, I'm not sure if anybody else is doing that or not, but that did happen to come up in that conversation I had yesterday. But
357 is a lot.
well, yeah, there's a lot of,
That's a big number.
and that's spaces that other people could have had available, so.
Do you think people might be kind of placeholding? Is that what you're?
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes, well, like at the beginning of the school year, some of the people had made appointments over the summer for follow-up appointments, and I guess just not really thinking about they were going to be back in the classroom or back in school and that kind of thing. And so, that was kind of what they were thinking was happening, but it continues to happen, so.
Why, Mr. Chairman, who could bring us a plan to reduce it, whether it's a fee or whether it's some kind of extra calls or something like that?
Okay.
I'd certainly like to
Well,
look at
in real life, if you make a doctor's appointment, you don't go, and you
True.
don't go, they're going to charge you something.
Right.
Oh, good, but yeah, I agree with
But
Vice
I
Chair.
think we do want to be, I think it's a little more difficult than that, because we don't want an employee who makes one in the summer and just forgets that school starts on August
Right.
10th and not on August 15th, and then they say, oh, man, I
Right.
forgot. And
Yeah.
I'm not like to punish that person.
Right.
necessarily.
Right, so,
But they're also looking at trying to implement a text messaging system. I don't know if any of your doctors or dentist offices are doing that. My dentist office is doing that now, where I get a text message the week before my appointment is scheduled, and I'm asked to confirm or basically cancel the appointment if I'm not going to be able to make that appointment. So, yeah, emails, but, right.
I think Mr.
So,
Whiteside-
but that is something that they're looking into that they could
I'm glad
hopefully
you
implement.
brought that up, because I was going to mention something like that, not exactly texting, although I like that, is I would want to be a little bit slower on the approach to say, let's penalize, without really understanding and figuring out whether or not we have the right mechanism in place. Now, I'm not going to take away the fact that we're adults and we have personal responsibility. That's a reality. But what we can do with utilizing technology for reminders and stuff like that, I would suspect that some of it is just simple oversight.
Right.
And not.
Life happens.
Yeah. I guess I'd be curious to know if people don't show up for their appointments, do we do any type of follow-up with them? Is there any type of outreach, or we just kind of mark it off and say, well, they didn't show up?
We had talked about them sending out a letter, and I believe they're sending out a letter just as a reminder and saying, give us a call back if you'd like to reschedule this appointment that you missed. But I'll double check on that, but we did have that discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to understand what we can do to improve the upfront process, just in case it is a simple function of people are busy, they forget, whatever. And the follow-up piece of why didn't they come is helpful as well, because we can understand, was it a life circumstance or whatever. I thought it was interesting, though, the largest number of no-shows was actually urgent care. And so I don't pretend to understand why that may be, but if I'm reading this correctly, which I think I am tracing across there, the largest number was in the urgent care sector, and I wonder if that's not them just making a decision to go somewhere else because of the circumstance. They called it in, I'm headed in, I cut my hand, and instead they decided to go to the ER or something like that. And I don't know if that's all of what falls into urgent care. I know the basic premise of it, but that may be something to just try to identify as well, because it does make up a third of the number of people that didn't show up.
Right.
So. The last thing I would say is I want you to know that Clarence and I are very disappointed in you tonight. We thought you were bringing doctors with you to heal us.
I was
when we
sitting
saw
there,
that we were getting an update, we thought, good, there'll be some antibiotics or something.
Bring him any drugs?
I didn't bring any drugs, no, but we could probably
Understood.
help you out a little bit tomorrow if you're interested. Give me a call.
Thank you. No, I appreciate the reports as always. Thank you.
The other piece was on the financial report. I just wanted to, we did have a spike in the month of February in our expenses, and just wanted to remind you, you've seen this before, but it's not uncommon for us to see a spike after the holidays, the Christmas holidays or winter break. So it's not uncommon, but we also get reports for any claims that are paid during the month that exceed $50,000, and we actually had, during that month of February, we had 4 claims that totaled over $400,000. So we had some.
Each of the 4 total.
The total of the 4 was over $400,000. So, but that is information. Like I said, I just wanted to remind you that isn't uncommon to see that spike after the holidays, but we keep an eye on that as well. Any other questions?
Just another quick comment, and I may have mentioned this before. I'd be interested to know what we can continue to improve on to making sure people really understand how all of this really works. And I mean that whether it's the wellness center or it's them going to their primary care, so many people really don't understand how healthcare really works, and they don't understand how our insurance works, and ultimately that their $35 copay was not all that needed to be paid, that there's another $80 fee that the district is picking up on the back end in addition to the over $6,000 we're already contributing to the policy. And so maybe thinking through, some do you know type of ideas and kind of putting that out there. And this isn't a school district issue. This isn't an across-the-board issue. People just genuinely do not understand healthcare and how it all works, which is crazy because it's one of the largest cost drivers we see in our society, and particularly one of the things that concerns us from a budgetary standpoint. But I just think there's always room for us to improve, and we can look at these numbers and we can see the writing on the wall of what's happening with fund balances and expenses and rising healthcare costs across the nation, or we can make sure that we're doing what we can to make sure people understand. Don't go, and this is two good examples. I don't know if he went to the doctor or not. I haven't. My first thought is, oh, maybe I should go to the doctor. Second thought is, well, let's see if it can work through my system, and I just make sure I'm taking vitamin C and doing what I need. I'm drinking ginger tea and all this stuff, right? If people understand that, not everything requires a doctor visit, but there's opportunity for healing and rest and liquids and all the things that we know about, it would be good for all of us as a society, but particularly for us as a district when we start thinking about what we need to do from a financial perspective. So I just think there's opportunity for us to continue to work on our education piece. Yes, sir.
So what Mr. Weisshire is saying, in his medical opinion, if you're not bleeding, you're all right. Is that right?
Something like that. Well,
I'm joking, please.
When I burnt my hand off, I didn't go to the doctor either. Right? So I mean, maybe I'm just dumb that way.
Thank you, Mr. DeBoard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that's all we have for information agenda. Next up is regular agenda items. Several things we need to approve. Board?
I'll make a motion to approve on the regular agenda, Mr. Chairman. Under regular agenda, under Roman numeral 7, items A through C as submitted.
Motion to approve by Mr. Wheeler. Second by Mr. Soto. On curriculum instruction, items A, B, and C. Board, any comments or discussion?
No good.
None? All right, then, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote no.
No.
A vote passes 4-1. All right, so,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve letters D through H under Chief of Staff,
Second.
Teaching, Leading, and Learning.
all right. Motion to approve Chief of Staff items under Roman numeral 8, items D through H by Mr. Weisshire, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion on this topic, on these items? None? Therefore, let's take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, state no. This one passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item I under Human Resources.
A motion by Mr. Booth to approve item I under Human Resources, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Any discussion, Board? None? With vote, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, state no. Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve items J, K, L, N, and O. I'd like to pull out M. for
Second.
Question.
Okay. So M, you said M like in Mary?
Yeah.
Okay,
All but Mary.
okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve Roman numeral 11, Business and Finance by Mr. Clarence Thacker on all the items J through O, with the exception of letter M as in Mary. Second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion? Then we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, state no. Motion passes 5-0. On N, Mr. Thacker?
Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve letter M.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Weisshire to approve letter M, second by Mr. Booth. Any discussion?
Yes, absolutely. I just have a general question. This item made me think about it, Mr. Clinch. On the chillers that we're doing here at Gateway, I know it's on the rehab plan in a couple years. Will these, when we're doing some of these things on these schools that are having major rehabs, I'm kind of been assuming that these chillers, for example, will be what we need going forward and be used.
Yes, sir. We're looking at these projects very carefully, especially with the comprehensive renovations coming up, to ensure that we're not spending dollars that wouldn't otherwise work against us. In this case, we have verified that installing the new chillers will fit in with the plans moving forward for Gateway High School.
Wherever we're putting them is the right spot and all that for the
Yes,
future
sir.
as opposed to
Yes, sir.
now? Okay. That's all I had.
Board, anything further? Then we'll vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, state no. Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, under Facilities, I'll make a motion to approve letters P and Q.
I'd like to pull item P. You would?
Okay, so I'll do this then. I'll make a motion to approve letter P.
Second.
Okay.
discussion.
All right. Motion to, under facilities, motion to approve letter P by Mr. Weissier, second by Mr. Booth. Board, any discussion?
Yeah, I just saw Ben and Melissa back here, and I just wanted to recognize them. They've been sitting here this whole meeting, and I just wanted to thank Arnco and congratulate them on the work that they'll be doing for the school district. And I know they do a lot of great work, and glad to have a St. Cloud company doing some work, and a truly local company. I know we have a lot of local companies do some work, but just thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you guys for being here tonight.
I'll echo that too. Arnco's done a real good job for us, and I'm looking forward to them continuing their support for the Celebration High School Booster Club like you did last year. That's terrific.
Well, I didn't know that, Ben. Hold on. We got it with St. Cloud and Harmony, you know.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
Just to be clear, Discovery is closer to Liberty and Poinciana High School. So
But it's a legacy type of a program.
I'm
you
kidding.
know?
Congratulations and thank you for your willingness to work for our schools.
It does appear that I could speak for the board and just that, we're definitely very pleased to have you working on this project. Congratulations. Board, we have a motion pending to approve. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, state no. Motion passes 5-0.
Second.
On the facilities, letter Q, motion to approve by Mr. Thacker, second by Mr. Weissier. Board, any discussion? No, then we'll vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, state no. Motion passes 5-0. Bring us to, and superintendent?
Yes, sir. I don't have a recommendation, but I do have two things that I wanted to share with the board. First of all, just last week, the DOE published the 2015-16 financial reports for all of the districts as well as the district report cards. And I'm pleased to say again that Osceola County historically ranks among the lowest in the state in administrative expenditures, and that continued in the 15-16 school year, in which we were the lowest when you consider per FTE with amount of dollars spent on administration as opposed to dollars going to the classroom. So we continue to direct our money toward the kids where it's serving the most use.
I think Dana just stepped out, Dr. Pace, but could we get that in some sort of a quote or a press release, Ms. Graber?
Absolutely, we'll work with Dana and
Yeah,
Heather
I'd like to
on
see
that
that.
this week. I also wanted to pass out a memo. There's one for all of you, plus for Mr. Kruppenbacher and for Tanya for the record. This is in regard to the timeline for my goals and evaluation in our strategic planning update this year. Within the contract guidelines, there are some deadlines that I'm not sure will make the most sense when it comes to when school grades are released. We also had never determined actually an evaluation form, so I've taken the liberty of kind of putting together a proposed timeline and a draft form for your review and comment later. Basically, it would require two big things from you. Number one, we currently have a strategic plan workshop planned for June the 20th, but it's only planned for an hour. And having now worked with this board for a whole hour, I understand that that is a conversation that will be richer and more engaging than an hour would allow. So I'd like to recommend that we move that workshop on June 20th to 2 p.m. so that we have a good 3-hour chunk of time for us to provide an update to you of where we are on meeting our goals and strategies, as well as make some recommendations and give you an opportunity to provide comment. I also felt like last year, if you'll look down to the second bullet under proposed timeline, that the opportunity that we had as a board and a superintendent to have an off-site retreat, even if it's shorter this year than it was particularly last, to kind of go over where we are and what direction you want to establish for moving forward. So that could be early morning, afternoon, evening, Saturday morning. I'm totally flexible with that, other than that is a Thursday, June the 29th. And then finally, the evaluation forms would be.
You want to get it done by the 29th, is that what you're saying?
That would be the actual workshop date, potentially.
I don't know if I don't think I'm going to be
For
here.
strategic planning?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'll be here. I'll be here the 30th. I won't be here the 29th.
that's Friday.
Okay, maybe we should take this one at a time. Are you guys good with moving the workshop on the 20th to 2 o'clock
Yes.
instead of 4 o'clock?
Yes.
I just got a new phone today, so bear with
To those two,
Gotta get my old phone out for
And
the
I want to go,
calendar.
Put it in your flip
and
phone.
Dr. Pace, I'm going to want to go back to the administrative ratio kind of, but yeah, the 20th at 2 o'clock,
would
that's
it make
fine.
sense to do those together with the retreat or not? Or are we kind of talking
The
about
evaluation.
well, the strategic plan workshop.
That is also a board meeting date, so
Right,
that would be
But-
workshop and then board meeting.
I'm just wondering, if we have an off-site retreat, that's more on the, about feedback and strategy, are they somewhat, maybe I'm not looking at it, I'm looking at it.
I kind of envisioned the
I'm looking at it being
20th.
similar
Right.
conversations.
I kind of envisioned the 20th as our opportunity to present evidence to you of where we are and make staff kind of suggestions in the general sense of next steps for strategies, then give you guys an opportunity to think about those and then provide more specific direction to me. But we can do it any way you like. That was my
I
thinking.
got a question. When are we going
I
to
like
get
that.
our AP test results back?
July.
Because I'd kind of like that to be part of it, but without that information, it's kind of tough to do it. I mean, I think that's really, really important, because there's been a huge push to get more students enrolled in AP, and I think that's terrific, but, you know, the goal is not just to get them enrolled, it's to have them pass those tests. And I think without having that, I've got no problem having the conversation, but you don't know what your results are relative to what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we need to change, what, you know, I mean, and until you have it, you just don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly flexible. If you guys want to shift some of this conversation to later in July, board, the current contract guidelines call for it all to be done in the month of June. And by then, we just will not have enough
I'm willing
data.
to amend your agreement. I got no problem with that.
May I just,
Yes, sir.
because as far as the timeline is concerned on the contractual obligations, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for that. But on the other topic is, I just don't know how much the AP test results should really come into play. I mean, your prerogative, what you want to use.
You know,
I mean, it's.
District staff made it such a huge, I mean, and to their credit, I think it's good
We
that
talk
that was
about
such a
AP.
huge issue. Right, AP's huge. And I think that's, you know, that's a precursor to our students' success both in college and in life to a certain extent. And I think it's very germane, because we're talking about our students who are at the tail end going out into the real world. And I just think that's a critical piece. Board, but if the rest of you don't, then you don't. But I think, and particularly because our staff made such they really hit home how important it is relative to what what we want to accomplish, that I think taking that out of the equation, there's a disconnect for me without having that piece. That's I can't speak for everybody else.
I'm fine with the 20th, just to make that clear, and I'm also, I'm okay with the 29th, although if Mr. Wheeler's not going to be here, we certainly want to go ahead and schedule it for that right away.
Second.
Mr. Weiss?
But certainly I'm open. I'm open that, the only, I will not be here, just to clear this up, I will not be here on the 18th of July.
Well, it's the 4th of July weekend, there's probably some people that would be.
18th.
He takes an extended 4th of July.
No, the 29th, the 30th is what I was talking.
Okay.
That's what I understood. All right, so,
Yeah.
That's a good point, Clarence.
okay, so Mr. Weiss, before you make the comment, what I was talking about, Mr. Wheeler, is just that for me, the current timeline is kind of important how it is, and while I do value AP scores, for what the purpose of what we're doing here, it wouldn't change. I'm not persuaded to change this, but if everybody else wants to do it, that's fine. Mr. Weiss.
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate this, and I'm in favor. The dates are fine for me. I was looking at my calendar, and particularly if Mr. Wheeler can't be here, then I'm like with Mr. Booth. I'm definitely in favor of that.
Maybe I'll do late that day.
We dealt with this last time with Superintendent Luciano as well, and I was the one who brought it up because I had concern over using our evaluation tool and going through that process without the real information that we needed to make sound decisions. So what I would share, and this isn't new to us, you, or any school board across the state, I'm fine with being flexible and amending what we do and how we line this timeline up so that we can make sure we have the most relevant information to shape our decisions. But I also think that we need to be aware of the fact that we're never going to have all the information we need unless we wait until the next school year to do it.
Oh, I
I mean, it's
understand
just been an ongoing issue. It'll continue to be with the way everything works. So I appreciate this. I'm very flexible on it. I think it's the right approach. The dates, like I said, work for me, so I'm good to go.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Weissier. All right, is there anything else?
I want to go back to the first portion that Dr. Pace brought up. relative to our our ratio of administrative pay to our student population. I guess the question I've got, I mean, I've been on this board for, forever, it seems like. And every year we are either 66th or 67th out of 67 counties in our ratio of our administration. And that's good to not be top-heavy. Obviously, nobody wants to be top-heavy. But then I just feel like I've got to ask the question. I mean, we are not, for a number of reasons, and I don't say this to be negative, but we're not the number one district in a lot of metrics. And at the same time, one of those metrics is revenues, and it's through no fault of our own. We don't have oceanfront real estate, et cetera, et cetera. So the question I've got, though, is it the right ratio? And I don't know if you're prepared to answer. I mean, I'm proud of the fact of what we're doing, but are there areas that we are shortchanging ourselves, or maybe our kids are getting shortchanged because maybe we need to add more social workers or more psychologists or more, whatever. I don't have the answer of what we need more or less of, but I just got to wonder. Every year we're in that same 66 to 67, and I realize, people say, there's waste. There's no waste in Osceola County. We can't afford to do anything but be frugal because we don't have enough money. So, Dr. Pace, I'd love to hear your comments.
And I do appreciate that comment, Mr. Wheeler. I will say that I have complete confidence in where we are right now with our organizational chart in terms of the types of support that we're able to provide to our schools and the service from our department, including the leaders here around the dais and the folks who they are supporting our schools. I appreciate the support that this board has provided throughout this year as I've brought forward new job descriptions, new changes to the organization chart, but at the same time, I'm very sensitive to the fact that we have to live within our means. And so that's where I've always tried to find a balance between new things, increased responsibilities, and things that we felt like through attrition could go away. And so that's what we continue to try to do. We're going to do the same thing when it comes to our school staffing. As I said, we'll be bringing forward with the 17-18 school year some budget recommendations that include a few teacher-type positions in some respects, because we did make a decision as a district to go school choice. But we're going to utilize some of that potentially for savings and some other purposes, but also some of that to address some of the priorities that this board communicated to us last summer, including the guidance piece, supporting our ESE and ELL students who need the most support. So those are the types of strategic thinking kinds of things that we're always doing.
I need some clarification on something you just said. Let's talk about guidance, okay? So are we talking about, for instance, right now you've got high schools with a ratio of 500, 600, 700 students per guidance counselor?
Actually, it's closer to less than 500 when you look at our guidance. When we looked at our high school staffing ratios for guidance, especially when you factor in the college and career piece that provides that additional support, high schools are in pretty good shape. Of course, they'd always love to have fewer, but they're in pretty good shape. Our middle schools are dying in that regard. That's why we're going to prioritize that in the 17-18 school year, and then hopefully be able to bring some additional positions back in for the 18-19 school year for elementary.
So again, I want to go back to, I've got complete confidence in everybody here. Let me make that perfectly clear. This is not a knock on anybody at all, but no matter how good all of you are, individually, all you only have 2 arms and 2 legs, only so many hours in the day. So the question then goes, are we, because of perception, because of dollars, because of whatever reason, I don't want anyone to feel like we need to shortchange ourselves because of some perception. If there's something we need, and you think we need it, and it does add another position, and maybe it adds more payroll, et cetera, but in the end, granted, we want things in the classroom, but we understand that there needs to be support, which is not to suggest we don't have support, but if we don't have enough for the right support, if you need something, it's going to help our kids, by all means, bring it to us. So maybe we'll end up 64th or 63rd, and that's not necessarily so bad. So I don't want to wear that as a badge of honor that we're 67th or 66th, but at the same time, by doing it, there's something that we need that we don't have. And again, I've got great confidence in everybody here. I just want to make sure that we've got enough resources for what we need.
Thank you. And thank you, Chairman Soto. That's all I had.
Kelvin,
Yes.
just a quick comment.
Of course.
I understand, and appreciate where Jay's coming from, but I need to make sure I share, and you know how I feel about this. I think you've done an effective job, and I want you to be very, I want you to continue to be very slow and mindful about what you do. I will wear as a badge of honor 67 out of 67 when it comes to that. We've always got to make sure that we manage that balance, and you've done an effective job of doing that. You've done an effective job of communicating, I'm sure, with all the board members, but I know with me. And I understand your point, Jay, about not being,
You want to shortchange our kids.
and I get that, and I'm with you on that. We don't want to ever put ourselves in a situation to where we're so frugal at one level that it impacts everything else across the system. But I also want to make sure, and this is my take, and I hope the board feels this way, I want to keep regular pressure at the same time at the district level that we always need to look at every single dollar, every single allocation, and make sure it's 100% fully needed and justified. And if not, then we're leveraging those dollars somewhere else in the community for the good of students. And that's not to say the work that's done here isn't for the good of students, because I know probably more than anybody that it is. I see the work you guys do day in and day out, but I like the fact that we're where we're at, and I'm proud of that.
Thank you.
Okay, so, board. Any?
Yeah.
Wait. On this topic, anything further? All right, I'd like to go back to school operations. Mr. Shutera, did you have anything?
No.
No, okay. So with Dr. Pace, we had your recommendation and your update, correct? So next thing is, we don't have any unfinished business. We don't have any new business. But we do have under board member comments, Mr. Weissier asked that we put in STEM Lab.
Thank you,
Have the
Chairman.
floor.
I just wanted to mention, Dr. Pace, I don't know the exact number of days, but I was looking at the mobile STEM lab schedule and the number of days that it's slated to be at schools. And then I was looking at that really at a 20,000-foot level and thinking, well, it's based on my math, it's scheduled to be at schools 80-some-odd days out of the year, but we have 180-some-odd days that we have classroom instruction taking place. I understand this transition and setup and other aspects that go along with that. But I want to make sure that that resource is being leveraged. And we've talked about this in a different context about how it should be leveraged to make sure it's actually driving and improving instruction and learning. So we're 100% on the same page there. But I want to make sure that it's leveraged as much as possible, as frequently as possible, and that it's not, parked somewhere longer than it needs to be. So I'm just asking if you would take a look at that, and you probably already are, knowing you. But take a look at that and just see if there's an opportunity for us to expand the use of that asset across the community. And then I would also tell you that part of what brought this to my attention, and as I was looking at it, is Bella Lago Academy, as an example, doesn't get to benefit from the mobile STEM lab, but yet every single school around Bella Lago does. And I understand some of the mechanics of that, but it's also a little troubling to me. A kid can go from Academica School to Bella Lago to Avant-Garde to Sunrise or any neighboring school and get that resource, but yet at Bella Lago they don't. And as I was looking at it, just knowing the geography of that area, it concerned me a little bit. So it's not a complaint or a problem, it's just an opportunity for improvement and review, and I'd just love to hear some feedback from you and Jane about how we can look at that.
We'll look into that for you, sir.
This is hard. You done, Mr. Weissier?
Yes, sir.
Okay, board, any comments on that? No? I'd like to go back to the attorneys.
Just three quick positive things. First of all, I am pleased to advise that their superintendent has been chosen as one of the 10 businesswomen of the year by the Central Florida. It will be coming out. Well-deserved. And
awesome.
It was a unanimous vote among the people that were picking. And not all were unanimous, but she was unanimous. So,
In case you don't know, you were number one, the other 9 finished.
Second, I just wanted to publicly thank your board secretary, Ms. Crank. Let me thank her. She's been great during the transition, getting me stuff really like on the spot. And Tanya, I really appreciate the way you do that. And then finally, I just want to say that I went to the rodeo.
Oh, very good,
Right.
very good. You didn't get on a bull.
Well, I learned, I didn't ride a bull this time, and my daughter tried to tell me that I did not ride a bull that was the type bull that was in that thing. She tried to argue I rode a calf, and I said, no, it wasn't a calf. But
I would stick with the bull
I'm
story.
looking over at the bulls, and I see all these cowboys, and I see a guy in a baseball cap who is running the whole thing with the bulls down below. And I said, I know that person, and it was Board Member Thacker. So he kind he's kind of pointing to me like how I could get down there. So I took my grandson and granddaughter down there, and I forgot I was staring down a bull, and I forgot that they don't like to be looked at and stared down. And as he started to pound his feet, my 9-year-old grandson said, Poppy, I don't think he likes you. I walked away, but thank you, board member, for that. That is just a great event for families. So much so, my grandson made my daughter take him the next day for the finals.
And for the record, Mr. Thacker manages and runs the stripping shoot. The stripping shoot is what they call it. Just want to make sure everybody knows that.
Is that what that is?
Stripping shoot.
Board, we would be finished, except that I want to readdress the superintendent's update. Mr. Wheeler? Actually, it's because I don't think that there was I'm not satisfied with the clarity. As it stands, I approve of the current timeline. Here's just to address Mr. Wheeler's need for an AP test course. We're not talking about the class grades. We're talking about the exam that is voluntary, and and it's that for that reason I don't, because this is so hard to schedule and we have the contractual obligation. Board, I prefer that we just approve what we have right here and give that to the superintendent to follow and inspect, rather than make any delay to wait for those AP test scores. Am I clear about what I'm saying?
Crystal.
You're clear on that, but we still
Okay.
got the issue, I hate to not,
Right.
Jay's not here on the second day, right?
I could be here the 29th late. I can't.
I'd be happy to do that, for example, in the evening, like say 4 to 7 or something like that.
Retreat with 4 of us there.
Right. So if you all would agree.
I think, let me confirm I gotta look at my calendar for, there's a trade show I'm at. I gotta look at my calendar. I don't have it here, but I will get, Dr. Pace, I will get with you tomorrow before
Okay.
lunch and let you know. So tentatively, I think it'll work, but I don't wanna 1,000% say I'll be there and find out that, actually, let me
Sounds
see.
like a bunch of garbage to me.
I gotta look it up,
Well,
Clarence.
no, I mean, on a
Let
serious.
me look it up right now. I just realized I got internet.
Serious
access on
note,
this
though,
thing.
I mean, when we're looking at things that are more than 60 days in advance, maybe the flexibility should be on the other side of things.
Well, if I can, I will. If I can't, I'm not gonna make believe I can.
All right.
So, I'm looking it up right now. Hang on, I'm doing it.
Would you like for me to close in prayer?
I think I
No.
don't need that,
Yeah.
man. I need it.
I'm ready to roll.
Well, we're not. We're just gonna adjourn. We're just gonna recess, so we're not done for tonight.
You recessed?
Wait.
Wait, hold on.
For the
Sure.
chair, the Jeff
You make
as
it.
chairman, though.
Yeah. We're a happy board here.
Hi, I'm Sharon Travers. I'm the owner of Cut and Style Lawn Services. We does the lawn maintenance on quite a few of your schools. There was a bid for Alco that I put in for, and it was recommended that I come here to the board meeting, but I haven't heard anything about being approved or,
You approved Alco, but
Who was it? We approved lawn service for Alco. That's on page 137.
All right.
Are you cut and style lawn
Yes,
service?
yes.
The bid's yours.
right, I understand that, but there was a problem, and that's the reason why I'm here.
Okay.
Apparently, when Megan called and I had my Geico call Megan to fax over all the information for my insurance, there became a problem. Okay, we got it all situated. Megan sent me a nasty email, which I really didn't appreciate, and she didn't even have the, to call me personally and say, hey, Sharon, you need to call Geico. I haven't received the documentation, whatever it was, okay? I got a nasty letter stating that you guys were disappointed in finding out that I hadn't had a commercial auto policy since May of 2015, which is wrong. And since that date, we have awarded your company several lawn care bids, which you have. And obviously, the certificates of insurance that were submitted with these bids were forged. And since your insurance company states that you had commercial vehicle policy in the amounts required by the bid since 2015, we will be turning this over to legal department. Now, for 2 weeks, I didn't get a phone call from anybody. I knew nothing was going on. But I was calling Geico every day to find out. They found out there was a problem. The girl was wrong. She was in the wrong, actually it was Gina Fisher, and they had sent me the wrong certificate, okay? The thing that I have is, I was already guilty before I should have got a phone call to say, hey, you know, call Geico, we need to get this situated, we need to figure out something here. But instead, all she did was send me an email, which thank God I go into my emails every day or I wouldn't have found it, or I wouldn't have known anything about this. It just really bothers me that I was accused of forging and being guilty when she never called me, told me, hey, figure out something, you know, let me know, nothing. And I told her, I said, well, I have other schools. I have 6 other schools that I mow. What do I do then? She said, just keep on doing what you're doing. Well, that's not really telling me nothing here. And for 2 weeks, I never had a phone call of anything, any conversation, nothing. I get a letter from my underwriting stating, in which I have it right here, that I have proof of insurance from 2015 to now, current. And when I sent this over to Megan, an hour later, I got a call from her that the board wants to know if you would accept the school, but for only 1 year. And I said, sure, 1 year. Normally, they're 3 years. Now, I've mowed for you guys for almost 9 years. No problems. Now, all of a sudden, because of a little mix-up here, that, not by my fault, okay, it's all right here, that now I'm only getting offered 1-year contracts instead of 3.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
You could go on. So basically, what you're asking this board to, what you're letting us know is that you feel that because of this error, which was inadvertent on your part, in other words, you're not responsible for, you feel that instead of the usual 3-year contract, you're getting 1 year.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you started out by saying they were sending it to legal. Would you all let me, I have to talk tomorrow with purchasing anyway, let me look into this, and we can report back to you all.
Okay.
I mean, I can give you the email
That
from Megan. I don't know if it did go to legal. Nobody called me for
No,
2
but, ma'am,
weeks.
if you'll write your phone number on it
Sure.
and give me that, I will get back to you.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Ma'am.
I want to go ahead and give some folks here an opportunity real quick.
Sure.
Dr. Pace, do you mind if I let the superintendent go?
I would just like to say this is the first I've heard about the situation, and I've already asked Ms. Graber, our Chief Finance Officer, to follow up with purchasing regarding the mix-up with your insurance. Regarding the move from a 3-year contract to a 1-year contract, we're simply doing some review inside house as a part of our Goal 3 fiscal responsibility about the best way to deliver and sustain our lawn care services as a district, whether it makes sense to continue to contract out for sites. Is there some of this that we could potentially do in-house more efficiently, particularly when it starts about athletic fields? But it is still very, very, very early on in that conversation. So the two pieces of the one-year contract versus the mix-up over the insurance, I can assure you, are completely unrelated, ma'am. But I do apologize that perhaps we didn't handle the purchasing piece as well as we should have, and I'll have Ms. Graber look into that for you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay?
The thing is, I don't like being called guilty.
Understood.
No, we heard that.
You gotta give me
we heard
the
that.
But
let-
here's the email.
By the way, what was your name again?
Sharon Travers.
Okay, and just want to make sure that's on the record.
Um,
Can I let Mr. Thacker and the other board members comment really quick?
Sure.
All right.
One of our comments was just to let Dr. Pace and Mr. Kruppenbacher
Yeah.
handle the situation, but just to be clear, from my viewpoint, this does not fall. I know there's two sides to every story, and I don't clearly only have one side here, but an accusatory letter like that, I have a real problem with, without picking up the phone and calling somebody, particularly when it's a long-term partner of ours. The other thing that seems extremely odd to me would be, it has nothing to do with you, if we've got a supplier that's out of compliance, we tell them to keep doing what they're doing. So, just.
Good comments.
Point well taken.
Mr. Booth?
I was actually going, like Mr. Thacker said, what I was going to say, except I will add this. I think, and because this is the second time today I've had a vendor, not just Ms. Travers, but another vendor come to me with a, not as quite a dire problem, but nonetheless a problem with our staff over there. And I want to make sure that Dr. Pace, that you know that I believe our customer service piece extends to our vendors and not just our parents. I think it extends to everyone we engage with in the community, and I certainly want to make sure that our staff knows that as well.
Ma'am, give our staff a chance to
Yeah, that's
make
fine.
this right.
Yeah.
Just understand that this could simply be an isolated circumstance, regardless of what Mr. Booth was just alluding to. It does not reflect the spirit of the heart of this board. And as you've heard from board members, we value the work you've done with our district. We want to continue to work with local vendors to provide good services to our community and to our schools. So you coming tonight to make us aware is appreciated, but know that the spirit, the heart, and the tone that you're hearing from everybody here, staff and board alike, is we want to make sure we always do what's right. And sometimes we fail. But we always want to make sure we do what's right. So just know that staff will work on it, and this board appreciates you.
Okay, because it was.
And real briefly, I just want to make sure our staff knows that I don't know exactly the story. I'm not citing one way or the other. I just want to say that I do believe the community engagement piece extends to vendors.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Booth.
Our customer service.
All right, so we're going to go ahead. Ma'am, you may have more to say, but I think that you pretty much got the result that you wanted here.
Well, yeah, well, there's one more thing. I know you deal, well, Megan Pearson is the one that I deal with, okay? And I have had problems with her in the past. Last year, she kind of slandered my company, and apparently she didn't realize that the people she was talking to are related.
Ma'am, could I recommend?
Sure.
Just because she's not here, we don't want.
Right,
her-
I understand.
Why don't you get with Ms. Graber right after the meeting?
Okay.
And let us
That's
find
fine.
out what's happening. and then report
Yeah,
back.
it's fine.
It'd be better for you
Yeah.
and everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Just, you want this?
Give that
To Ms. Graber.
Okay.
She'll touch base with you.
Gotcha.
Thank you for-
I'm sorry, but.
Thank you, ma'am.
This really bothered me, and I've been sick for 2 weeks over this.
Ma'am, this board, in particular, Mr. Booth, and I think Mr. Weishire has repeatedly always been very cognizant about wanting to provide, everybody else too, except for me. I think that we do good customer service. However, we can always get better. And it's only when people bring up these issues that
That you-
allow us
you
to,
find out.
that
Okay.
allow us to do it. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Have a good
much.
evening.
I appreciate
And
it.
remember, if you want to comment before
wait,
the board,
board.
before you can do that earlier,
Yeah,
right at
with
the
the yellow
beginning of the
sheet.
I
meeting.
didn't know.
Okay.
I just
Actually,
got
I
an
act-
email stating
I
it was recommended.
I actually think your approach was very appropriate for this matter.
Okay.
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Pace and Board,
At this point, we're going to recess, this is for us, we're going to recess this meeting and begin the executive session in a few moments.
And I can find us an off-site location too.